Elliot was a reserved man. He, like many other knights, was into something that resembled a cult with ham radios. They were replaced by the persistent white noise and low-pitched whispers originating from all corners of the globe. His dwelling was a small dilapidation-like shack where frieze and equipment, wires and antennas predominated. These skeletal-like extensions were ever searching towards the opinions. By night one evening, tuning as he was with the dial of the apparatus, he came across an uncanny signal. It was not a normal conversation or melody from other stations floating in the air. It was not like that. It was like a monotonic voice and emotionless, as if reading a list of complex number and coordinates. They were variety, ambition, excellence, adventure, knowledge, creativity, failure, reality, authority, wealth. Just as the voice faded, it ended with an unsettling phrase, "They're watching." First, Elliot considered it as separate local broadcast or a fake news. Number stations were an old mystery. They are relatively linked to espionage, particularly during the Cold War, but they were a throwback. Still, there was an intimate aspect, a message for him, exclusive and not for the crowd. The next night at the same hour, the signal came back again. The same numbers, the same coordinates, and fully 20 times the chilling phrase. Elliot got too intrigued to move to obsession. He opened the map service site on the internet and entered the coordinates into the map. Though the forest was considerably close, it was very dense and situated far from civilization, about half an hour by car. The only thing that could be seen in the vicinity was the sparse vegetation, and no signs of habited places, no buildings, nothing. Mark was Elliot's only friend and also shared the same interest of operating radios. When Elliot told him about the signal, Mark thought that Elliot had become really weird, but he played along with the man's interest. And after hours of thinking it over in one way and another, the two decided on investigating. They went in the car without incident until they were closer to the actual site. Suddenly, an eerie silence fell over the area. It was not even the low whisper of crickets, the sound of a twig snapping on the ground, the squeak of a bush. It was not just their GPS devices that got stuck or gave them wrong directions that sent them through chunks of ice. When they reached the scene, tension was beginning to show the air. Such coordinates unveiled a concealed bunker lost in the midst of growths of moss and debris for years. The door was made of steel and had rusted badly, but when she pushed it, opened it rather easily, and she found herself in front of a doorless opening which led downwards into a deep hole. Mark did not like the idea, but Elliot insisted that they should proceed slowly, to which Mark agreed, but deep down he had wanted to proceed. The structure of the bunker and everything inside it reeked of dampness and mold. The gray walls were covered with iron-coated radios, monitors, dusty filing cabinets, which seemed to have not been used for 50 years. Specks of dust were dancing in the beam of their flashlights, which was barely enough to guide the way. It felt like stepping into a used building of Cold War spy headquarters. While searching, Elliot's light shone at a desk where papers were scattered on the top. Among those files was one titled Operation Echo. An American flag stood in the corner, and behind were CDs, movie posters, and photographs, including some with Elliot inside. The photos painted a picture of a young him, seated at a desk surrounded by the very equipment in this bunker. There is also another picture that depicts him standing just around the bunker, outside holding hand of a man dressed in a laboratory coat. "Elliot," Mark whispered so softly that he barely raised a murmur. "What is this?" Elliot couldn't answer. He could not recall a single detail of it all, but the proof was clear as day to everyone else. Instantly, a monitor flashed into colors and light, showing a cramped hallway with grainy black and white images. On the screen, there was last few moments when Elliot and Mark entered the bunker. Then the robotic voice returned, louder this time. "Subject 731, memory restoration is not complete. Prepare for retrieval." "This is Talon," and the room shook as red alert alarms sounded. The door finally closed, with the sound consistently loud enough to ring. Frustration emphasized at Mark as he struggled to open it. He pulled hard on the door handle, but it wouldn't open. Elliot, on the other hand, covers his head as more memories escape him. People in strong black suits, white lab coats, and operations. And speaking of wiping personalities, This is wrong. We need to get out of here, Mark yelled. But before they could do so, guys clad in white biohazard suits came out from behind a door camouflaged by other walls. They proceeded with caution as they overpowered Mark and paying no attention to his whining. One of them stepped up to the young man and Elliot, who grew dizzy from watching the shards of his shattered memories continued to shake on the floor. You were never supposed to leave, the figure repeated with a voice that sounded like the unknown voice that was in the radio signal. That is the end of Elliot's world that has gone to black. I woke up on my feet inside a cramped space meant to be Elliot's radio shack. The noise of his equipment was soothingly familiar, and there was a lingering coffee smell somewhere in the vicinity. Everything seemed normal. Nevertheless, there was a feeling that literally pricked the edge of his subconscious mind. A dream, was it? He couldn't quite place it. Scowling, he put it aside, resumed programming his radio dials as he went about his business. Within minutes, a signal came through, the same numbers, the same coordinates, the same phrase: chasing me. They're watching. Laying his hand on the pen, Elliot wrote down the information that was fed to him. Little did he know he was just digging a hole deeper into a cycle that was already created for him by the entire world.